with your business, how are things going? How are you feeling? What are your challenges? Give me all of it.
I'm feeling. This is really weird because like I'm actually putting it all out there, but I'm feeling really like. Alrighty, so what's going on? Welcome to the podcast, guys. A little bit different flavor than my normal videos, but here we are again. Actually, we call it a Barcast now.
Is that what we call it?
That's what we called it last time.
Okay.
I like Barcast way better.
I think you seem really mellow.
It sounds
right
super
now.
cool.
Seem like.
So, I've been trying to give a new flavor to people because, like, I'm actually boring in real life.
You don't want to give all the normal energy. What's up, guys?
What's going on, guys?
So we need to explain some changes.
Yes.
As best we can.
Right.
Some things going to change around here. So, do you want to explain the changes?
Really just the changes, guys. We're just trying to, like, this has all been an experiment. And for those of you who are watching, thank you so much for the support. You've been providing the kind words, the feedback. It's all been good. And so we're just trying to figure out what works, what people are really into. And so even though like I'm a little bit more animated in some of my other videos that are a little bit more instructional, it's really just to kind of keep you engaged. And not that this isn't, but this is just going to be like a whole different flair, a whole different flavor, just to kind of really kind of get into the raw parts of myself, Christian, and what it means to run a business. Some of the things that frustrate us, some of the things that, like, I don't know, just comes up in conversation.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
Yeah. And per our discussion, what we talked about was, this is kind of for us in hope, like giving our experience and trying to provide value for each other. And then through that, hopefully you can learn and you can apply it. Because the big thing is that it's what I see a lot with clients, and I feel it, is it's lonely at the top. Oftentimes when you're running your business and you're in it, it's easy to feel isolated. It's easy to feel like you're the only one experiencing what you're experiencing. Yeah. So there's almost like the conversations that we normally have when we meet, when we used to meet before we worked formally together, it's these conversations documented. So the documenting that's kind of for us, and it'll be cool to look back on it. But by the same token, having conversations that hopefully people can see how we work through things, and maybe there's information and value that they can take from that.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. So
just to give you guys like a little bit of a backstory, Christian came on, and the reason I know Christian is because he was my former college instructor. It was business management, something like that.
Yeah.
And we've kept in contact. He's by far, and he's gonna make funny faces.
Professor.
Right? Yes,
best
the best professor I've ever had.
Not even close.
And I've told him before countless times that he was. And so like we've always kept in contact, even after that class and through me graduating, get my bachelor's and all of that. And then when he found out that I was starting my own business, which is We Trade HQ. If you don't know what We Trade HQ is, the links are down in the description below, so go check those out. And so we just talked one day just about business and how my business is going. And so we decided, hey, let's just make sure we meet up once a month. And so I come down here, and we're in Baltimore here. Shout out to the horse you came in on. But came down here, and we would talk about things we were going through. He was giving me advice, I was giving him advice. And so that's basically what we're trying to figure out. We're trying to make this podcast and see if you guys get anything out.
So let's start. Let's recreate it. Let's just like we used to talk. Just like we used to talk. Tell me what's going on. What's going on, Brad? What's going on with your business? How are things going? How are you feeling? What are your challenges? Give me all of it.
I'm feeling. This is really weird because like I'm actually putting it all out there. Yeah. But I'm feeling really like anxious. And I think the anxiety, I don't know if does it ever go away? Has it ever gone away for you? Like and I'm not saying like it's crippling or anything like that, but there's always like that butterfly in your stomach. Like, I think part of it's kind of like that, what keeps me motivated.
Yeah.
Like the anxiety of just like the failure part of it. Even though we have always talked about like how you should handle failure, there's still that involuntary, I don't know, feeling that you get that potentially something could go wrong, and so like there's that huge worry.
Is it a feeling of, is it like the imposter syndrome? Like I'm getting lucky and like I really shouldn't, or is it just anxiety of like, where's the anxiety?
I don't
for
think
you?
it's imposter syndrome. I don't think that We Trade HQ has been successful by chance.
Yeah.
You know, I do think that because of what the hard work that we've put in.
Like you believe in what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's not that. It's just like, am I prepared for everything that could go wrong?
Sure.
And it's like, what if something happens that I'm not prepared for, and then how do I handle that?
Yeah, yeah. So your question was like, does it ever go away? It doesn't really. It's something I experience, but it comes in waves. I don't think I experience it as much, and I think that's partly because. So this is your first business, like officially, like formed business.
Yeah,
I think you're trading, and the stuff you're doing on YouTube, Own the Chaos. I think that's a business, but this is the formal structure and where you're, formalizing it. So this is your first one. I've had multiples, and then I've almost treated business where like I've had full autonomy. So, to me, I've ran 10 businesses, but I've had personally my businesses where I've been officer on 3 businesses. So, I think the anxiety has went away from me for the experiences. I know what's next. Like, most likely, I can see that, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm really confident in what I'm doing, and so the path is clear. It's just execution. I get anxiety still, but few and far between. Like as far as the frequency compared to when I first had a company, because you're like, oh my gosh. Like, my anxiety will come with when it's other people. Like when I bring other people on. Like I believe in myself, I trust myself. I just actually brought on my first employee last week, and I'm about to bring on my first coach to work with We Trade HQ, to work on the financial side. So those 2 people, number one, they're going to be huge for my business, and they're going to set me up, and I'm always really careful at the first hire. But then number 2 is they're going to have an experience with my company. And so I want to be able to provide a great experience for them. So I've never really had that in business, for my own company, for other companies, but for my own, it's been.
So is the anxiety like releasing some of that control to give to somebody else? And worrying about like.
Part of it, like how they're representing me.
Yeah.
But the other part is more of. Yeah, you can just sit over there. Thank you. What was the question? So the anxiety.
So the anxiety part of it is that just relinquishing control.
That's a small part of it. It's more like control is like how they represent me is part of the anxiety, is making sure I'm represented correctly. But I can do things to mitigate that. Like a lot of my stuff's done virtually, so I can have them do virtual calls and record them, so I can see that. I can sit in with them on certain calls, and I know the people I'm hiring. I know them from a work perspective. It's more for the experience they get. Like I want them to leave the business like my company's 262. I want them to leave 262 really feeling like they've gotten something out of it. Because I always look at the value you're providing me and the value I'm providing you. Yeah. It's not a one-way street. Like I don't just, although I pay you, the resource exchange can't just be money from my perspective. So that's where it really comes in, is like, how do they feel about my company, and is their experience going to be fruitful?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see, and we actually went through that with you. So if you guys don't know, Christian is now a huge part of We Trade HQ. He's officially an officer with us. He's Chief Strategy Officer, and so like that was a huge anxiety for. Not so much me, because like I trusted you, and so like Jake's probably gonna watch this, but Jake, and rightfully so, Jake doesn't know you as well as I do, so like there's a little bit more anxiety on his side than there was mine, because for me it was like, oh yeah, this is no brainer, let's just do it, because of the impact that you've already made on our company. But like for Jake, I think it was just a little bit more, because it was like, well, this is our baby, and we're giving up a little bit of our company for this, and so like there was some anxiety, but like. I think that how we got through it was just like, okay, we know that we're not going to be able to do all of this by ourselves. Yeah. And in order to be able to grow, we're going to need to be able to bring other people on, and that requires giving up some of that, letting go a little bit and just trusting people.
Well, the writing was on the wall, and so I'm kind of curious as to the back end of it. Like, so if Jake was the one that had more reservations, quote unquote, what were the ways that you guys talked through that? Obviously you went through, so it worked out well.
Yeah.
But what was that like? Because I wasn't privy to those conversations.
Right.
I know that from you and me, like, it was great. Like, we talked about the negotiation. It was great because we were very candid and open and honest and like, this is where we are. This is what we need. It was never contentious, but we disagreed, like, in that sense. So what was it like then, you and Jake going behind the scenes and having conversations?
I mean, I would love to say that it was a knockdown, drag-out fight, but it really wasn't. Jake and I have always had like a really good working partnership.
Yeah.
And that even though we might disagree on some stuff, we will talk it out in a very respectful way. Like, we're just like, I treat Jake as if he was a friend of mine, just like I treat you. Like, we're all friends. I mean, there's like the business side of it though, right? Like, we got to take care of this, and that. But then there's also like, there's no reason to like be so hard-nosed about everything.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the approach that we've just taken. Be like, okay, well, let's just hear your side of the story, and then I'll give you my side of the story, and then we kind of meet somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So as far as that conversation between Jake and I went, that's kind of like how it went down. It was just like, well, I'm really feeling, anxious about giving away part of our company, which is a huge deal. And for me, it was like, okay, well, like the conversations that kept going back was, well, we have to be able to do this in order for us to grow. And Jake was like, yeah, but we're giving away part of our company.
Yeah.
And I think the real kicker was that
The real kick-up?
the real kicker was when, before we even brought you on, we talked about reaching out to potential investors that would give us money for equity of the company.
Yeah. So it was sweat equity instead of
Right.
capital investment.
And I told Jake, I was like, listen, I said, here's my perspective. We were willing to give somebody that we don't know, that probably doesn't even really care about our company, a portion of it in exchange for cash, whereas we're bringing you on.
You say for me?
Yeah. Not really an exchange, but
Cash?
But, and I said, I feel like there's more value to be had for somebody like you who's going to be putting the work in, and there's more motivation behind that to ensure that we're a success than just taking money from somebody who just doesn't care about us, really. I mean, they're just trying to make money off of us. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
And when I approached it to him that way, he was like, you know what, that's a really good point. We were willing to give away part of our company for $1.
For an initial cash investment.
And for a price.
Yep.
And, this, I think it means a lot more to us, and I know it means a lot more to you, being able to and I think that it probably goes both ways. Like, it probably means a lot more to you knowing how much, Jake and I were giving up to have you.
Yeah.
But then also, that we saw more value in you versus some just getting cash from somebody. Because even if we would have gotten that cash, how would we have known how to use it?
Yeah.
Because that's the other part of it. And now somebody owns part of our company that we don't really know all that well. And I don't know. I think that this way was it just made a lot more sense for us.
Yeah. And I hear a lot from entrepreneurs when they say, if you would have done anything differently. We talked about in the first podcast, we talked them saying, just jump in sooner, right? But the other thing I hear, probably the second most popular response is, I wish I would have bootstrapped it for longer. I wish I would have not looked for investment longer, because what I've seen a lot is, and I've seen it twice in the past month with my clients, is two past clients I've had separately saying, I got money and I didn't know what to do with it, so it was gone.
Right.
Right? And we talk about that because there's still conversations that we have in We Trade HQ about when is the right time for investment, and there's going to be a time when we do seek capital. And if we do that, it's really about knowing where that's going. And I feel like that's what a lot of owners miss. It's they feel like they need to grow, where my philosophy is a little different. My philosophy is kind of redline it, let the market tell you where to go, and determine if that's a way you want it to go. Like I'm passionate about that. If not, then go somewhere else. But like hold it as tight as you can until the market busts it out. So at the beginning, you take a ready, fire, aim approach when you're launching your business. But then when you find something that the market tells you works, resonates, then like get it real tight and hold it as long as you can. Don't hire employees. Don't look for investment. Like let the business blow it out. And the way it looks is max yourself out, and don't burn out, but max yourself out, your capacity, and then put a value on everything. So for you, you wear a bunch of hats. What would the going rate be for those hats?
Right.
So you might be an administrative person, a bookkeeper, you might be a manager, you might be whatever, a coach, a mentor. All those things have a assigned value to them. If you do that, then you do the things you want to do. And then say, okay, if I'm going to hire an employee or if I'm going to get investment, it should take the bottom value one off. If you hire an employee, if it's administrative, that's $15 an hour. Well, if you can get $100 an hour doing this thing that you want to do, or do more of this thing, then knock it off, and you've now created an $85 differential that you can put towards your business.
Right. Right.
Does that make sense? I feel like I kind of went.
No, yeah, it does. And I mean, especially like when it comes, because I think that there's that misconception where like people starting out probably feel like they have to have all these employees to start out.
Yep.
And a lot of that I think also has to do with like just having the patience.
Yep.
Because, and I struggle with this sometimes even with our mentors that we have within We Trade HQ. It's like, well, when are we getting to this? And when are we getting to that? And when are we getting to this? And it's like, we are working. So we're not sitting back here not doing anything. And I get that you want to make $1 million tomorrow. Trust me, I do too.
Yeah.
But it's a process, and there's a right way to do it, and there's a wrong way to do it. And for me, it's like I'm looking at big picture. I want this to be around long after I'm gone. And if we look for short-term solutions now, then that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think I'm starting to get, that message across to a lot of our mentors, and to really realize like this could be something that like you could basically set your family up for generations. I mean, really, you really could if we do it the right way. And that goes along with the people that subscribe to us. I mean, the skills that they're learning now, they can pass on to their kids and then their kids.
Yep.
And it could just be a huge chain reaction to where like people are going to experience so much more financial freedom and be able to do things they want to do. And I think that sometimes that just gets lost.
I wonder if there's a psychological piece to that, where we get a taste of something and then we're not patient, like the lack of patience. I'm sure you experience it in your mentorships, where people start learning a little, and then it's almost like it's dangerous because of the amount they know, and then they're like, oh, we're good, and they run off.
Yeah.
Or like,
I heard that expression, I know enough to get me in trouble.
That
exactly.
Kind of thing. So that with business, you get a taste of a little bit of success, something that's working, and then you just want to go head first in it and expand and grow. And it's like the patience is key, because if you don't have a strong foundation that you can build your business on as you grow, it'll last for a certain point, but then it's all going to come tumbling down.
Yeah. I think like social media and like these other big guys on YouTube, you have 19-year-old kids, 20-year-old kids that are millionaires because they've like done something stupid or like something that requires really no skill on YouTube. And so like everybody now has this mentality, I think, that, or not everybody, but I think there's a large group of people that think that all they got to do is just go on YouTube, do something fun, create 1 million views, and then they're set.
Yeah.
And it's not that easy. I think there's outliers.
Yeah, it's like hitting the lottery.
Right. But
you can hit it, but most likely you're not going to hit it.
Yeah, and so for the rest of us, it takes work to get to that point. So, one guy that I follow a lot, his name's Sean Cannell. He's on Think Media on YouTube, and like being able to follow his footsteps and like how he's been able to become successful. Like he's got 750,000 subscribers, which isn't big, but like he does like a lot of like product reviews, how to grow your business, how to grow your channel, and so like he just provides a lot of value. And so like I prefer following people like that than going and following somebody who's got 18, 20 million followers, because they didn't really. I'm not going to say they didn't work to get there, but they had some sort of easy way to get to that point.
Yeah, something worked out for him that you can't necessarily
Exactly.
replicate.
Like there had to have been some level of luck for
Yeah.
them to get to that point.
Yeah, for sure. So, let me pause. Is that too loud?
I don't know.
I really won't know until afterwards.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Let's look. I was gonna say something about that. Look.
About luck.
Yeah. What was the lead up to that?
I was just saying how like you know, I follow Sean and you know how he works works his way to following, and then like I'd much rather follow Sean than somebody who has like 18 million followers, 20 million followers, because most, I wouldn't say like a lot of what they got to, but there's some level of luck that had got them to where they are.
Yeah.
I feel like.
In a weird way, what you're saying kind of reminds me of like the Michael Jordan syndrome or the Michael Jordan effect, which is like Michael Jordan's naturally gifted. So he's lucky in the sense that he was born with certain skills that lent itself to the sport of basketball to make him the greatest basketball player of all time.
Right.
He is the greatest basketball player of all time. Not LeBron James. I don't care what anybody says. They're ridiculous. But Michael Jordan effect is like, it's the idea that Michael Jordan is a horrible owner. Horrible. He's not a good owner. He's not a good coach. And the idea is like the people that are greatest at something from a natural talent ability or from a luck ability generally aren't the best coaches or teachers or the best people to follow because they don't really know, they can't explain or map out how they did it, right?
Right.
How do you create this viral video that gets you 3 million followers in one whatever? Like nobody can tell you that. There is an element of luck. And so the best coaches actually are the ones that were like, that had to work really hard, never really got to Michael Jordan's level, but they got good enough where they were able to monetize it. And so that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like, it's that same idea where somebody who has grit, there's a really good book. Have you ever read Grit before?
No.
Grit's an awesome book. It's the idea of the merriment between like natural God-given ability and just pure hard work. And how is that created and where does that come from? And the author researches like kind of comes to the conclusion that like typically grit makes the difference in people because natural ability kind of makes you a little uncomfortable. But with that said, they get there through grit, but then they can tell you how to get there.
Yeah.
Like they can say, this is what I did. So it's great you follow that.
It's all about effort.
Effort. Yeah.
Effort is between you and you. That's some Ray Lewis there.
Who?
It's Ray Lewis,
Who's that?
the greatest football player of all time.
Yeah.
Well, defensive. I don't know. I think he's probably the greatest defensive football player of all time.
That's a good conversation to have. I don't know. That's tough. He was the man.
We should probably have another podcast for that
Yeah.
one. So with that, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We're going to revisit this. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, and also, I think there's a lot of topics we touched on.
Yeah.
We touched on negotiation.
That we can break down.
Yeah, like so if you want to talk about, if you want us to talk about specific topics or expand upon topics, we can definitely do that. There's a lot of things we can expand upon in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So let us know. Put some comments down below and let us know what you thought about this. Are we on the right track? Is this something you want to see more of? And yeah, that's it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. We are going to be doing this every Saturday, and hope to see you throughout the week as well. Stockwatch Sunday is at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and that is it for me, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. B. Smith is out.